Hey everyone, I'd like to welcome you all to Romanus Junior Vlogs, and I myself is Romanus. So as you see in the title, we got pre-approved, then we hit pause. You may be saying, "What does he mean? Why? What happened?" So I'm gonna sit down with y'all today, give y'all the 401, the 40, the 401 or 411, whichever one it is. I'm gonna sit down with y'all, give y'all a little rundown of where I've been, what's been going on, and why we got pre-approved for a home and we decided to hit pause.
Top of the morning, I give the Lord praise. Now He's the reason for my creativity. It's all grace. The more I face fears in my life, the more I walk straight through difficulties. Cause my God is with me. Yeah, that's always.
And in the midst of it, I have to do it in Ramones Jr.'s fashion, which is good glass of bourbon um, and a good good cigar. So this glass of bourbon I have today is Mitcher's bourbon. I recently bought it. I want to say around Christmas for Christmas. Had maybe one glass of it, maybe two, mixed and stuff like that. But having it straight here, neat. So very nice and smooth. Very um, kind of like a cinnamon vanilla type note, like almost like a vanilla extract. And then, as y'all know, I like to smoke cigars, so I have a cigar right here by Made Man. As y'all see, here's a cigar Made Man. So I figured I'd go ahead and cut the cigar, have a little sip, sit down with y'all and chop it up. So I'll be back once I finish going ahead and cutting the cigar. Let's go ahead and get to it. So what happened while we hit pause? You may be asking. So as y'all know, I think from the last video I may have uploaded, I informed you guys that me and Pauline were engaged, right? And I told y'all that we were starting to look for a home. We planned to buy a home in 2026. So, well, the end of December, January, we I end up going to the neighborhood that we want to move in, right? We have our specific neighborhood, we have our area that we want to live in. It's not far from my job, it's not far from her job. My job's current location is only 15 minutes from the neighborhood. Her, Paulina's job is 26 minutes from the neighborhood. The reason why I say my job, current location, is because at the end of this year, my job, we plan to actually move. So when we move, it's going to go from 15 minutes to me being 28 minutes, which is straight on the freeway. It's just a straight shot. Like it's just a straight line to the neighborhood, to the job, both our jobs. So that works perfect. Pretty good stick. So let me go ahead and get into it. So at the end of December, I want to say either the day after Christmas, I think it was the day after Christmas. I told my mom, I was like, "Hey, you want to go? We want to go ride with me?" Because Paulina was going to, I want to say, a baby shower or something like that. So I asked my mom, I said, "You want to go with me?" And then she was like, "Yeah, I'll go with you. I ain't doing nothing." So I had asked Paulina. Paulina was like, "Well, I have the baby shower and all this, whatever." She ran to the store to go look at some stuff and all this. I was like, "I'm just gonna go with my mom." So when my mom went over and looked at some model homes. I walk into the model home. I sat down with the one of the builders, and he was like, "Well, you ready to buy now?" I was like, "Well, we have our down payment saved, but we want to save for want to wait to the end of the year because we want to pay off debt." And then he was like, "Well, how much debt you have?" He was like, "To be honest with you, have you got pre-approved?" I was like, "No, I haven't got pre-approved yet." He was like, "Well, if you go and do that, you may not be in debt as much as you think you are." I was like, "Well, I still want to pay off my debt before we move into this home." He was okay, I understand. I was like, "Well, y'all be here at the end of the year?" He said, "No, we most likely going to be gone. They're not giving us any more plots. We'll pretty much have our inventory homes up. We're selling out." And I was like, "Well, it was one floor plan that I had in mind that you guys had that I liked." And he was like, "Well, we I don't even think we make that floor plan anymore." I was like, "Okay, cool." So it's a good bourbon, man. Good bourbon, good stick. So when we left that house, we went to another builder, walked in there, and that builder was already out of our price range. It was like close to 400 grand, and I was like, I don't want to pay that much for a home. So, but talking to him, he was like, well, you may not be in as much debt as you think, blah blah blah, all that crap, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. Um, Pretty much went through the same thing I went with the first builder. So then my mom was like, hey, you want to try that house down the street? I was like, well, let's go. So I was like, yeah, let's go. So we go down into the builder. We walk in, and the lady's like, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. You know, you introduce yourself, we start talking or whatever. And she sat us down in the little office, you know, because they turned the garage into like a little office. So we sat down there, we started talking. And she's like, when do you plan to move? I was like, well, me and my fiance are looking to move towards the end of the year, like maybe around October, November. She was like, well, it's going to take 6 months to, you know, build a home. And I was like, well, will y'all be around that time? She was like, yes. She was like, we just now really starting. She's like, we're definitely going to be around at the end of this year. I was like, okay, cool. She was like, but you want to take a tour of the model home? I was like, sure. So we walk around the model home. We look. I was like, I told her, I was like, I ain't gonna lie. I actually like this home. Like y'all are looking like the correct builder for me. And she saw I had paperwork from the other ones, and she was like, so she gave me one of their folders and all that stuff. And she was like, yeah, bring your fiance out. I was like, no, I'm gonna bring her Sunday. So long story short, Sunday we went, and me and Paulina had talked. And we was like, well, if it's gonna take 6 months, we can go under contract maybe in June. And then we go on the contract in June, take 6 months to build, towards the end of the year, be our deadline, what we want. Have enough debt paid off, may have a little bit debt left, but most of the chunk of debt will be paid off. We can make things shake. So we go back Sunday. Paulina's like, I love it. I love this home. This model home is not the floor plan that we want, but it gives you an idea of the high ceilings and everything like that. So the lady, the representative, I think it's called, I think this is what you call them, like a builder representative. Like, well, y'all don't have any kids. I think this floor plan will work perfect for y'all. So she gave us a floor plan. We loved. It's like, well, we ended up falling in love with the floor plan, to be honest with you. So um, when we are talking to her, she ended up talking. She was like, well, we have a deal right now where if you do up to 40 grand in upgrades, we pay half of that. So you only pay 50%. Um, she said they have some other deals, so a bunch of other deals. When we were talking to her, I remember her saying, now I remind you, the previous in the week when I went there, she told me, yeah, you should think about maybe June or something because it's gonna take 6 months, this and that, right? So me and Paulina was like, hey, June will work perfect. And then when we got there, we talking to her, she's like, well, you know, remember it's gonna take 6 months. So what about like in January? You know, that she kept pushing it. I know she was pushing it up. So me, whenever I'm like kind of hesitant on something or kind of like something that's important, I pay very close attention to what people say or people's actions or movements. So I started noticing, and I told Paulina. Paulina was like, she was like head over heels, like yes, yes. And I was like, I told her, I was like, in my mindset at the time, I was like, well, let's just wait, like let's keep our original plan because I want to pay off debt, like I want to do that. But um, listening to her excitement, and then I'm like, well, it wouldn't be bad to see, you know, what happens. So we left. She kept emailing us because I gave the lady our contact information. So the representative kept emailing us. She kept calling. No, she didn't call at that time. She just kept emailing us. And she was like, you know, we have this special going on, this and that. So I told Pauline, I said, well, let's pray on it and see what happens. We went to church the following Sunday, prayed on it. And I told her, I was like, you know what, let's just see if we get pre-approved. Because she kept, before we left, the representative, she said, well, I suggest you guys get pre-approved to see how much you can afford, you know, what can you qualify for. Because essentially, in their mind, the way I took it was, we don't want y'all to get y'all hopes up for this house that costs, let's say, 300,000. If you can't afford a $300,000 home, you can't qualify for it. So I figured that's what she was thinking. I was like, well, let's just see if we get qualified, see what happens. It may be a sign, you know. So we filled out the paperwork that Sunday after church, and we submitted. Some loan applications, pre-approvals for SoFi was first. Then we started on Rocket Mortgage, and then we were like, we was going to go with the builder and see what they can get. So when I contacted SoFi, I put in all the stuff. The SoFi lady contacted me, the loan officer, and she was like, well, it looks like you'll be good to go. Like we can pre-approve you. And I was like, well, how about cover closing costs? Because that's been my biggest fear. Because we have the down payment, but I don't know how much closing costs will be. I don't. There is no like, for example, if there's a down payment, you know it's a certain percentage. Like first time home buyer 3.5%, conventional 3% or something like that. Closing costs, I don't have an estimate. I know some people say maybe just take 5% of the asking price and that'd be a closing cost. So I was afraid of that. So I asked the loan officer. I said, "Would y'all be able to cover closing costs, like stuff like that?" Because like I said, I do a lot of my research and stuff like this. And she was like, "Well, to be honest with you, what has the builder said?" She's like, because I told her like we went through the builder, loan officer, with their lender and stuff like that. She's like, "Well," she told me, she's like, "I'm gonna be honest with you. See what they can give you first." She's like, "Because we may not be able to touch their deals. Like a lot of builders are giving great deals. So I'm just gonna be straight, flat out honest with you." I was like, "Okay, cool." Come to find out, once the builder, we put in all the information, builder already pre-approved us. Boom, done. Sent it to us. Approved us for more than what the house that we want costs. So that's a good thing. But I'm like, okay, cool. So then the lady was like, okay, perfect, perfect. She started sending us stuff like pick out this, upgrades, all this. Start picking up all the upgrades. Changed the door, lights under the cabinet, changed out all the carpet because the rooms had carpet. Took the carpet out the rooms, put the rest of the. It looks like hardwood, but it's really like a laminate plank. But put that in the rooms. Only pieces that have carpet is the closets. Um, I told him I wanted to take one of the ceiling out because the ceiling fan they charge one ceiling fan is free, the other one's like $450. I'm like, why would I pay $450 for a ceiling fan when we can install a ceiling fan ourselves? So I told him take off the one we got to pay for. It's like all these different upgrades. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, cool, it's perfect. And she was like, okay, well, how about you come and sit down with us and that? So I told her, me and Pauline were talking. I told her, I said, I wonder, can they delay the start of the build? Because if it takes 6 months, this was in January, matter of fact. So this is this month, before this month ends, depending on when this video gets up. But I'm sitting there, I'm like, I wonder can they delay, because if we go under contract now, pay the earnest money, we're gonna close like by June, July. So I'm like, I start panicking. I'm like, yo, I was like, I wonder. So I start asking some of the brothers, and they're like, they should. You're the one building your house and stuff like that. So we asked to meet with the young lady, the representative, and she was like, sure. So we met with her after work one day, and we were going to need to put down, I think it was 17 grand, right? That was going to be the down payment and closing costs altogether. They were going to pay 3% of closing costs, right? That's what we walked into the deal with. Interest rate was going to be 5%, like in the fives. So we sit down talking to her, this and that. And she's like, yeah, I want you guys to pick out the color countertop you want, the color of the outside of the house, all this and all that. Okay, cool. So I asked her, I said, let me ask you something. She said, what's up? I said, will you guys be able to delay the start of the build until June? Because if you start in June, we'll close in like a December, and that'll be perfect for our timeline. We have a timeline when we want to move. She was like, I don't see why we should have an issue. She's like, I have to call my supervisor to make sure that we can do that, but I don't see why it would be an issue. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're still talking, and then Paulina had like a list of questions she were asking. So she was asking all her questions, and I told the representative, I said, well, if y'all are able to, she was like, no, we're going to get this deal done, this and that, and I was like, well, if y'all can't, then we'll have to come back. And if y'all don't have the deals that we want in the summer, then we have to go to a different builder, And she was like, no, we're going to get this. Like, I seen her eyes buck. She was like, no, we're going to get this done. I was like, okay, cool. So she ended up calling the supervisor. The supervisor turned it down. So then the representative was like, well, what if we delayed the start of your mortgage payments for a couple months? I looked, I was like, well, if you can do that, then I'm good with that because you'll meet the timeline that we want. And she was like, well, let me call. So she made some more calls. They talked on the phone for about 5-10 minutes. And then she came back, and then she was like, well, we can't do that. But what if we were to pay 6% of closing costs? I'm like, huh? So they initially was going to pay $9,000 worth of the closing costs. Then it was going to be a $9,000 credit. And it went from that to like an $18,000 credit. I'm sitting, I'm like, whoa. So we would have ended up only had to put down like 10. That's down payment and closing costs. I'm like, what? That's crazy. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, bro. And then the interest rate was still in the fives. So I'm like, that's legit. So I told Pauline, I was like, we gotta talk about it. So I told the representative, I said, I told the representative, I said, me and her have to talk about it. Let us discuss it. We'll come up with an agreement. We'll let you know tomorrow. And she was okay, cool. She was like, take some time. I was like, I asked her, I said, how's the process go? She said, well, if y'all agree to it, I'll get y'all a loan estimate. Y'all can look over everything again, and then send me over the earnest money. I was like, that's nothing because I told her that our earnest money is within SoFi. SoFi doesn't have a cashier check because I was reading the paper. It said you want a cashier check. She was like, oh no, we can wire it, stuff like that. I was like, okay, cool. So she was like, yeah, if you agree to it, come over here Saturday. You can meet. You sign the contract, go in the contract, pay the earnest money, and then start on the bill. It takes probably like 90 days, something like that, for the paperwork to start and stuff like that. She said 30, 60 days. So I'm like, okay, cool. So me and Paulina go outside when we're leaving. We're sitting there talking, and we're both like, we want to do it. We want to do it. But we're nervous at the same time, which I'm in some subreddits, and I've been noticing on Reddit, like a lot of people been talking about like how they get approved and then they get nervous because it's just like, it's a new bill. It's this, it's that. You don't want to mess it up. It's something new as a first time home buyer. So I see people commenting like, it's normal. Don't feel bad. Like everybody goes through this. It feels weird the first couple months, but after a couple months, it becomes normal life. Me and Pauline talk about it, and we're up, we want to do it, but once again, we're still nervous. So I told Pauline, I said, let me talk to one of the brothers. Um, I actually talked to two brothers, and I was like, well, let me talk to them, and let me gauge their opinion on this, see if they can give me some advice on what we should do, and then we'll make the decision. So she was like, okay, fine. So I called one of the brothers on our way back when we were leaving that neighborhood, and the brother told me, he said, man, walk away. He said, walk away. He said, think about it like this. He said, you have all the leverage. He said, what they're trying to do now is a short sale. They have a certain quota that they have to meet. And obviously, they need to sell a certain amount of homes that are going to close by July. And they're trying to get you in that. He was like, you have your down payment. You you have the credit. You're pre-approved already. He was like, you have all the power. I was like, but man, that's crazy though. But like them paying 6%, and this is without a realtor. We don't have a realtor. It's just us negotiating. And he's like, I understand. He was like, but y'all have a plan. Follow your plan and do what y'all have to do. He was like, they're going to be there in June when you go back. He's like, you may have to choose a different lot, but they're going to be there. He's like, no one's buying homes right now. I'm like, you know what? You are right. So called Paulina back, told her what he said, and she was like, yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. I think that is true. So I sent the email to the representative for the builder and just told her, I was like, we appreciate you, but we have to wait until June. We'll be back in June and we'll go from there. And she was like, I understand. And, deals may not be the same, but I do understand. And, we'll be here, this and that. So we'll see how June happens. But that's what's been going on in my life, man. That's why we were pre-approved, but we hit pause because we have to pay off debt. Um, I'm already knocking down like I got quite a bit of debt that I'm paying. I'm already knocking off a big like my it was my largest at the time. So I'm almost pretty much halfway done with that one. Then I'm gonna start on my second largest. And then I'm gonna chop that down, and then I will have that done by the time we close. I want to say, and then I have maybe three more lines, 3 or 4 more lines that I'll have to work on. But those are smaller, so I'll be able to afford paying those and having a mortgage, stuff like that. But I'm not going to be as aggressive as I am now because I don't have a mortgage right now, you know. But that's why we did it. We were nervous, but it is a great feeling knowing that you can get approved for the home that you want. That's the great thing. We were like this close because we were nervous. You know, we never bought a home before, so it has us thinking like, will we even be approved? You know, and now we know we will. So the end of this year, y'all will see a vlog of us touring the new home, us moving in, daily life, stuff like that. So don't freak out. I'm still here. Still dropping videos. I'm focused right now on paying off debt. I wanted to get that out to y'all. And another thing is I just switched from Xfinity to AT&T. AT&T fiber at that. So I want to upload this video um, because I want to see how fast I can upload it since I pay for the 2 gig plan since I'm getting 2 gig up and down. So I want to see how fast this video will upload compared to me with my Xfinity where I was getting, I think the last video I uploaded, I was getting maybe 200 upload. So I want to see the difference in that now. Another thing is I also got a new graphics card. So I haven't edited on that graphics card just yet. So I want to edit on that graphics card, and I want to see how what's what I'm looking for, how fast I'm able to render this video on there with that graphics card. If you guys don't know, I use DaVinci Resolve to edit, and it uses either your CPU or if you pay for the premium version like I do, which is a one-time fee, you have the where you can use your graphics card to render the video, which works faster, of course, less stress, more powerful. So I have had the opportunity to do it with my new 5080. So that's why I really want to push this video to y'all. I ain't forget about y'all. YouTube, bro, is coming back. I assure you. Once we get in this home, I'm going to be like y'all true brother. Y'all going to see me more frequently. Y'all going to see me doing stuff, talking to y'all, sit down, talking to y'all, new settings, just everything, new life. Y'all going to see the videos that I really want to put out to y'all. The married life, the future family life, like the having children, you know, stuff like that. The stuff I want to bring to y'all. Y'all want to get the wisdom and stuff like that as well. But that's what I'm really waiting on. So I'm sorry for the delay. I just had to get this to y'all, and that's our story. That's where I've been. That's what happened. But we were pre-approved. We just hit pause. So if you check out this video, if you enjoyed this video, thank you for tuning in. I hope you come back. Hope you watch this journey. Hope you, if you've been here, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching my journey as I grow, as I become a better man, as I become wiser, as I become more in tune with God, more in tune with spirituality, just becoming a better person. So thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. See y'all later. Peace.
So when I'm in the booth, the Holy Spirit spilling truth on instrumentals, elevating daily till I fought myself, now I stand on top of the mountain, yelling victory, cause Jesus paid the price, he's my accountant. 26 years of grace, homie, and I'm still counting. It's a lot of ups and downs, like a whip with the wheels bouncing. Pass the gospel to the thirsty, you get it? We live fountains.